Welcome to Keffals 2, Electric Boogaloo. Josh and I recently had something of a run-in with an internet content creator, a Twitch streamer called Keffals, who is a transgender woman who promotes DIY hormones to give to children and also just generally promotes gender ideology. Josh and I had a little bit of a problem with that and decided to do a segment on it, in which we criticised their reach and the actual things that they were doing with the influence that they had over other people's children. Now, this led to some controversy and led to a bit of a run-in, but there is also other updates with Keffals that I thought we'd like to go over. I'd just like to draw your attention, before we go any further though, to people who are also using their position of power, their position of influence, irresponsibly, and promote this old video that we did back in April, me and Thomas, where we looked at what exactly a leftist is teaching our kids, where we had sent to us some footage, some video series of from a school in Seattle that was promoting gender ideology and teaching this to children as young as 5 years old with various children's books, which were less than appropriate, I would say. Not necessarily in terms of being overtly sexually deviant or anything like that, more just in terms of the subject matter that they were talking about was not appropriate for children, and I would say not appropriate for schools in the first place. But anyway, let's get on to it. So this is the video that we made, the Keffals and Quartering spat, because Keffals and the Quartering had a bit of a disagreement on Twitter. Keffals is somebody who enjoys ratioing people on Twitter, and we criticised them for this and talked about the fact that, they ran a Discord server called Catboy Ranch, in which it was alleged that there were a number of underage people sharing provocative images on there. They promote, as I mentioned, DIY hormones, which are mainly made in people's bathtubs. One of my favourite ones attempted to try out for Parliament, I think it was, in Canada, under the Communist Party, failed miserably, and then embezzled a bunch of money to feed their drug habit.
To be fair, taking money from the Communist Party is pretty based.
Pretty based, but to feed your opiate habit, perhaps not, and then went on to become a farting dominatrix. This is all true. You can look up the segment for the other for more evidence. But as I said, Keffals is somebody who has an army of people I can only describe as mentally ill teenagers on their side who autistically search for any mention of Keffals online, and then as soon as there's one that portrays Keffals in a negative light, get the entire cult-like army, and I'm going to...
Hello to them, by the way.
Hello, we know you're watching this. It's nice to speak to you again, Keffals. No, we won't be debating you. Because I'm sorry, giving DIY bathtub hormones to children is not up for debate. It is wrong morally, and you should feel terrible for yourself and probably hand yourself into the police. But moving on, as we said, Keffals was made aware of the video that we made and decided, just to get all the drama out of the way of this segment first, the Twitter drama, I know that this is what you're watching the show for, decided to descend on us with the mentally ill horde of teenagers. And Josh and I, particularly me, decided to have a little bit of fun with this over the weekend, over that weekend where it happened, because Keffals originally pointed it out on Twitter and then decided to track us down on Twitter and ratio us, because Keffals is somebody who has access to people like Hassan and Hassan's large audience.
That's Hassan Piker, by the way.
Yes, Hassan Piker. So when Keffals, gets criticism or finds a tweet that they don't like, they just go over to Hassan and other such content creators on BreadTube, say, can I get your audience to help me ratio this person? These are not natural negative responses that you're getting organically through the algorithm or anything. It's very targeted and very deliberate. It's not just that Josh and I made this video and it naturally happened. It was something that was purposefully done. And Josh just decided to point out, imagine thinking you're in the right for supporting giving homemade hormones to children in order to transition them. And not to pat ourselves on the back here, but good point right there, Josh.
No way, we agree.
I know. This
Who'd have thought?
This is such a shock that Josh and I are completely on the same page here. And then I decided to have some fun. For instance, Keffals decided to tweet at me saying, oh, hi, watch the video you made about me, you smug British cook. By the way, I unblocked you. Oh, yes, because I'd been preemptively blocked, just so that I could ratio you. And I had pointed out in the video that this very thing was going to happen. So I just, decided to have a bit of fun. Oh no, if only I could have predicted this would happen. You truly got the better of me with this ratio. What a smart and effective way to make an argument. And then I started to respond to a lot of the other people who were going after us as well. I said to all my new fans and shared the detransition subreddit. Now, some people didn't seem to get this joke, but I would say, a lot of the people who were trying to attack us online, the mentally ill teenagers, in a few years, they might get this joke, when all of a sudden this subreddit becomes relevant to them, shall we say, if it's not, of course, taken down by then, because r/dtrans is actually a fantastic subreddit if you're looking for these sorts of stories, or if you're somebody who is detransitioning and looking to have some people to share it to who are going to lend a sympathetic ear, because from everything that we've seen, goddamn, the trans community as it exists online, for the most part, are not going to support you as you're detransitioning. So it's actually a very, very good resource, not just for people looking for these stories, but for people who do want a sympathetic ear and want some help as they're going through what I can only imagine is an awful time in your life. So I do actually think, as much as I posted this as a joke, it is a good resource just to have out there for these people, because I can only hope that in interacting with these people, even if it was mainly as me just trying to dunk on them, I'm not used to dunking on people on Twitter, so it's my first time. I can only hope that it has at least got some people to consider, if anybody clicked on this link and it came to a positive outcome for them, I can only hope that helped them. But anyway, let's move to the next one. So people were saying weird how conservatives are against LGBT, yet they can't stop sucking each other off. So I just responded with saying it's called support, and I know your parents didn't give you any, which honestly, as much as it's a joke, is probably somewhat true in these things, or at least certainly not the kind of healthy support that parents should be giving their kids, which is saying no to you spoilt little brats out there. Once again, speaking to you, Keffals. Hello. And then one of the most amusing ones is somebody just tweeted this at me and said, "Get your coat, Harry, you've pulled." And it seems that leftists can never help themselves but thirst over conservatives. It's a damn shame that the guy on the right side looks so damn hot. If only bigots were all ugly. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but
what about the guy on the left-hand side? Come on.
Oh, I mean, you're looking a bit just angry.
I am. That's not the best facial expression.
You've got a bit like you're about to cap a fool, You've got
do that. Have the mafioso hair, don't I? So
the mafioso hair, the mafioso look. You talk quite softly with a threatening undertone to everything you say. So I suppose, you do have a bit of a.
You talking to me?
Yes, I am actually. But no, leftists can never help themselves but thirst over hunky conservatives. But I'm sorry to say that I am in fact taken, and yes, by somebody who identifies as their biological sex. So, sorry, you're a bit out of the league
I'm
there.
sure he's a lucky man.
Hey, he really is.
No. I know your fiancé. I'm being mean.
Yes, of course. And then just to finish this off, once again, all of these people, the main reason that they were trying to attack us was, one, to demoralize us more than anything, and trying to get us to think that the entire world was against us, to prevent us from talking about these sorts of subjects again. But one of the things they can never help themselves do is dob themselves in. And sadly, the tweet that I was originally responding to here is now from an account that no longer exists. This person deleted their account. I wonder why, but one of the things that I kept saying throughout this was that, the online trans community as it exists tends to try and manipulate people, and children especially, into becoming confused about their gender and then transitioning, which is something that is sort of applied as a band-aid, a fix-all for all potential mental health problems, when often gender dysphoria is something that does not originate itself as the problem itself. It's often a symptom of other mental health problems like anxiety, depression, the sorts of things that many young girls go through when they're originally going through puberty, and all of a sudden their body is having all of these nasty changes that they're not used to, and they're suddenly getting more attention, often from older, creepy men. I've seen it happen myself when I was in high school, and all these girls were getting a lot of attention from people that they really didn't want it from. And of course, these people are applying this as a solution that will fix all of those problems, when in fact it only creates more problems. And as evidence of this, this person, seemingly unironically, just posted out saying "Oh, we're not trying to just trans your kids. Also, by the way, kids reading this tweet, did you know that you can get DIY hormones online without your parents knowing? Here's the link for it." And they shared out the link, and if that doesn't just say it all. We're not doing this, but also we are doing this, and it's a good thing. Here's how you can keep it from your parents.
They're obviously deliberately trying to conceal the fact. They know that what they're doing is wrong, but they're doing it anyway.
I don't even know if they think that what they're doing
Well,
is
it's
wrong.
wrong in a legal sense.
Yes, it's definitely wrong in a legal sense, and that might be why this person deleted their account, or perhaps they were suspended. But in reality, these people do think they're doing the right thing, and it's only 5 or so years from now, which is the average it takes for people who have transitioned to detransition, that they will probably look back and go, oh, I was a part of the problem, as some of the detransitioners who have been going around recently have. Not that she was bullying people online, but I think her name is Helena, one of the more high-profile detransitioners. She was on Tucker Carlson recently, was talking about in a big post that she put out there, how when she was still in the ideology, she was berating people online. She would give all of the same sort of responses that we got to people who were pushing back against it. And it was only after she detransitioned that she realized just how embedded into the ideology she was, which turned out to be very damaging, both for her physically and also for her mental health. And I'm glad that people like that are able to get past it, realize where they've done wrong, acknowledge that, and then move on, hopefully, to a better life. But one of the other things that kept happening was that Keffals kept asking Josh and I to debate them, as if we were going to do that. As I said at the beginning of this, no, I'm not going to debate you. We do not debate on subjects like transing other people's kids. That is just something morally that is pretty black and white, and it is obviously wrong to do.
I hate to quote George Bush of all people, because he's a war criminal, but I don't negotiate with terrorists. And it's that same sort of mindset of, well, there's someone so extreme, so antithetical to our own beliefs in, protecting children from being harmed, that what's to debate? There's nothing to be gained from that.
The only thing that can happen is by debating in the first place, you're almost tacitly acknowledging that there is wiggle room here.
Yeah.
And the only thing that can serve to do is pull the debate further in Keffals' direction where they want it to go, which is not what I want to happen, because obviously this is evil. I think basically this is absolutely evil. And also, amusingly, immediately after this, on the weekend that we were having this whole kerfuffle, shall we say.
A Keffals kerfuffle.
A Keffals kerfuffle, yes.
By saying that a few times.
Keffals had a debate, or what was originally supposed to be a conversation with a Twitch streamer called Stardust, in which we were brought up at the beginning very, very briefly, but then it went on to the other sort of typical Twitch political streamer debates, where it just turns into interpersonal drama that they have between themselves. Of course, Destiny gets brought up because Destiny evil. We need to make sure that everybody knows that Destiny's evil because he makes fun of trans people occasionally, despite, for the most part, supporting the ideology. But, once again, he's on the left, but he's just slightly not left enough for these people.
You saw lots of people going after him for his views on Kyle Rittenhouse from the left, because he was just like, well, yeah, he had a right to defend himself.
Which, anybody with eyes could see that. Yeah. But this descended into some into some nonsense. So I thought I'd play the clip of the end of this debate, so you could all see what Josh and I were missing out on from refusing to debate this person.
Lena was on that spreadsheet.
Okay,
what are you
but
talking
Gappy and I are smaller than you, and
I know yes, and Gappy and you both defended Destiny, who also engaged in my fucking Kiwi Farms thread, and I have the screenshots for this.
Did he post docs of you?
No, he doesn't need to. It's a fucking group harassment thread.
Okay, but again, people.
I already told you, stupid fucking
Keffals.
Jesus Christ.
You have slandered me as a white nationalist, as a white supremacist, as a neo-Nazi.
I literally do not give a single shit because you are
groups.
You've
done that to
groups
of people. I am such a smaller content creator than you, and you think that it's okay for you to slander me as a white nationalist, as a brown woman, by the way.
3 times, yeah, and Stardust just sits there processing it all.
Okay, well, guys, that was that.
Keffals just hangs up after a freak out, and to be fair, let's be fair here. Keffals in that moment displayed what I can only describe as an incredibly feminine temperament.
That is true.
In being contradicted, immediately freaking out, not taking responsibility for your accusations that you're throwing out, and then immediately hanging up. No, I've met a few women like that. Let's be fair. Hysterical and illogical. Okay, you're starting to win me over.
Oh dear.
But that is just the precursor to what has happened, because after all of this, very, very recently, and I'm not saying any of this to condone what has happened to Keffals or to even implicate ourselves in it, because obviously we've got nothing to do with this, Keffals has found themselves in a bit of legal trouble after on August 5th I was woken up with an assault rifle pointed at me and arrested for a crime I didn't commit, and I need your help. Please share this video widely. With this video, my life is in danger. I need your help. And I can only say that with this, victim credentials have been renewed. Now I am somebody who has had a SWAT. Obviously, I do not condone swatting, but
it is both dangerous and a waste of their time.
Yeah, it's also a waste of the police's time when they could be doing something more important. But somebody like Keffals is going with the classic never let a crisis go to waste, and using this to raise some money, using this to boost their profile, using this to basically score political brownie points. And you know that people like this are going to use this as a beating stick for the future whenever possible. Anytime that's any criticism is thrown their way, they're going to be, well, I got swatted, you're planning on swatting me, we'll probably get accused of it this weekend when this segment goes out.
Yeah, obviously we don't want to do that to people. It's a horrible thing to do to someone.
No, especially given that I think there are actual legitimate reasons that Keffals should probably be arrested, if only you didn't live in such a clown country like Canada, which has laws basically protecting you from what you're doing. From the consequences of what you're doing. But I think that swatting is the wrong way to go about it, obviously.
Yeah.
And I can show you how they're using this as a crisis not to go to waste, because they are immediately raising money for it so that they can move. Clara Sorrenti,
91,000 Canadian dollars as well. Wow.
Yes,
that's a lot of
raised
money.
of a $95,000 goal. And when I looked at this yesterday, I'm pretty sure the goal was still at 90,000. I might get that wrong.
So it's going up and up.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they just keep shifting it further and further so they can just keep trying to raise as much money as possible. One of the other funny things about this is Taylor Lorenz did a massive article on Keffals in the Washington Post. Not criticising, not calling out for irresponsible behaviour towards children, but of course promoting Keffals, saying how brave they are, how amazing they are for the online trans community, and trying to promote them, big up their profile.
You may recognise the name Taylor Lorenz from the fact that she was the journalist who published the lady behind Libs of TikTok's personal information. She basically doxed her, and she had to move, didn't she, or go into hiding, or something like that, as a consequence of Taylor publishing her personal information.
I think she went to either friends' or family's homes that were outside of the public eye that hadn't been doxed, but then Taylor Lorenz, there were photographs of her showing up at random people's homes that were connected to Libs of TikTok, like friends and family. She was going around just trying to collect as much information as possible without acknowledging that there are obviously, as she points out here, in fact, IRL consequences, in real life consequences for doxing somebody, harassing them, harassing their family, especially when it's somebody as contentious as Libs of TikTok, when, groups like Antifa and even parts of the online trans community have shown the lengths that they will go to silence political opponents. And, you would think that with somebody like Libs of TikTok, the people you'd want to be silencing are all those people, those idiots posting TikToks, just basically saying your evil plans out loud. But no, it's not their fault for broadcasting this. It's Libs of TikTok's fault for collating all of this and then broadcasting it. Complete nonsense, but it's pure friend enemy, as far as I can tell. And Taylor Lorenz points out here, this is a horrifying account of how online harassment can have serious IRL consequences. If you don't know Keffals, she's one of the largest trans Twitch streamers, and then she posts her Washington Post article talking about this, and the irony is just dripping off this whole thing. If you could go to the next one, Michael, thank you. Yeah, so this was the article that Taylor Lorenz originally wrote, and the idea that Taylor Lorenz, of all people, can criticise others for getting people into IRL trouble.
I know,
is ridiculous.
Just the whole, both her and Keffals really can't complain about mobbing people online, for a start. Obviously, the in real life stuff is a bit different, but the fact that both of them are complaining about that as well is that it shows a lack of
self-awareness.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it wouldn't even necessarily be self-awareness, because if I remember correctly, like 3 weeks before she doxed libs of TikTok and gave her name out, she was crying and whining on The View or something, was it?
Yeah, I think something like that.
Where she was talking about how some people had leaked her identity online, leaked her personal information, and how much harassment that she'd got from it, how she had people come up to her house. So I wouldn't even say it's a lack of self-awareness.
Well, yeah, she knew exactly what she was doing.
She knew exactly what she was doing. It's more knowing that because of the political side that you fall on, knowing that you can get away with it, knowing that there will be no repercussions. In the same way that Ezra Miller recently has done lots of terrible things, groomed children, assaulted women, robbed people's houses for no reason, just so that he could get some booze. Very strange behaviour. And the police have got multiple warrants out for him. There's a restraining order against him. And yet all he has to do is come out and say, I'm really sorry, guys. Do you remember that South Park episode where BP Oil have the massive oil spill that unleashes Cthulhu? And
vaguely, yeah.
And the CEO just in a number of scenic locations just looks straight into the camera and goes, "I'm sorry," and everyone forgives him. That's what it feels like. This clown world we live in, because of the political side you're affiliated with. All you need to do is either say "I'm sorry" or just ignore the consequences altogether, and you'll get away with it.
But the thing is, you can't have any claim to morality if the only thing stopping you from doing bad things is the fear of punishment. You've got to be good for goodness sake, not to be too morally preachy. But
well, yeah, I mean that just goes to show how bad these people are, how evil these people are, is because they don't have any fear of punishment. It seems beyond whatever limp-wristed action those on the conservative side of things, sadly, will push at them, and they don't even care. They still go ahead with it anyway. So they're not even restraining their behavior for the sake of, legal or professional consequences. They're just being evil. They've got no consequences. They've got no conscience. They've got no morality to them. I do genuinely think these people, to quote Carl, are Slaneshi demons. And I don't even know what a Slaneshi demon is. It just sounds appropriate, doesn't it?
I like I think it's from Warhammer, where
well, of course it's Warhammer.
I know, we're talking about Carl, but they're sort of weird, degenerate sex cultists of some sort.
So it's very appropriate then.
Yes.
Absolutely. But to go over some more information about what actually happened to Keffals, we've got this Newsweek article that just says, Keffals said they were the victim of swatting, practice of intentionally encouraging law enforcement to harshly respond to a person by filing false reports against them. When they were arrested in London, Ontario, on the morning of August 5th, the arrest happened after London City Hall was sent multiple fake emails alleging that they had killed their own mother and were in possession of an illegal gun and was planning to travel to City Hall to shoot every cisgender person. I shouldn't laugh.
No,
that's kind of funny though. I'm sorry. That's kind of funny though, just because I can see an actual, I don't know, ideological terrorist potentially trying to do something like that. But police took the fake messages seriously despite a series of grammatical errors and other hints that they could be the work of online trolls, including information about Keffals' dead name. Ooh. The police referred to me during the arrest by my dead name, said Keffals. I was booked in the station under my dead name. The police, when talking to my mother, called me her son. Oh dear, I love the focus here. I got gun pointed at my face, and I got arrested for something I didn't do. But don't you know they dead named me? God damn it!
Yeah, the police came in. They didn't have magazines full of bullets. It was just dead names.
No, I've got a bullet with your name on it. Which one? Oh no. Yeah. This is despite the fact that I have run for political office. Failed to run for political office, both as a member of parliament and a member of provincial parliament under my name, Clara Sorrenti. An attempt by Sorrenti's mother to get them and the rest of their family put on a no swatting list months earlier was not taken seriously by London police services, who allegedly completely dismissed the family after treating them like they were wearing tinfoil hats. And obviously that's very bad behaviour on the part of police.
They should have. When someone is a political commentator online, there's a long history of people getting swatted. So once someone reaches a certain size, I feel like they should automatically go on that list to prevent it. I mean, it's a little bit silly that they buy into this sort of stuff. They get an email, it's like, okay, well, who is this person? Look them up. Oh yes, they're quite a prominent person online.
Obviously, they're going to be somebody who's going to have people targeting them.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as, once again, I do not condone the behaviour of Keffals, just in the interest of, procedural fairness, this sort of thing should not happen. If you're an online creator, left or right, you should not be being targeted for swatting. And if you're a police officers who are told about this sort of thing, you should take it seriously. Absolutely. But then Keffals threw out some tough talk. Are you afraid yet? Are you afraid of their fighting words?
I'm terrified.
Message to my haters, if you wouldn't mind clicking the third image, the bottom right one. This is a quote from Keffals. If they want me to stop, the next time they better manipulate the police into pulling the trigger. Oof. Oof. Fighting words right there. And once again, I do not condone or encourage anything like this. But at the end of the day, Keffals, you must acknowledge that if you are messing with people's children, and that is what you are doing, you should not be shocked, you should not be surprised when those people hit back against you, and occasionally use very dirty tactics to do so. So I do not condone the swatting of Keffals, but I will say, just on my own opinion, I think there are plenty of other reasons for you to legitimately go to prison.
If you enjoyed that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go over to lotuseaters.com to become a premium member on our website, where you'll get all sorts of exclusive content, such as Josh and Carl going through the life and crimes of the notorious Hunter Biden. If you'd like to follow Carl on Getter to see all the content he's putting out, you can go to @CarlBenjamin on Getter. Until next time, thank you and goodbye.